Hello everybody. This week we're going to be working on Unit 3, but before we begin working on Unit 3, it's important for me to go over a couple of important concepts. The thing that I'm really most concerned about is that you understand how to submit a link when you submit your work, how to put the stuff on Kronos, and I think most of you have figured that out. But then once it's on Kronos, how do you give me a link that works correctly? All right. Now, you must guess that the reason I'm doing this video is both to make sure that those that get it really get it, and for those that are kind of iffy on it understand the difference. Now, if you navigate over to our resources page, somewhere near the bottom here, somewhere right here, I have a little entry for FTP. And you can see that I suggested a couple different FTP clients. And FileZilla is really kind of the de facto tool. Most professionals use it. Most people that are learning use it because it works really well and it's super powerful and it's free. Works on every platform, so it's a wonderful thing. However, some of you might opt to read this, and I always lean every semester towards maybe eliminating that instruction set, but it really is a useful tool, especially when you're in a capacity where you don't have the capability of installing software on the machine. So if you're in a Windows environment, you're in at a corporate environment where you're not allowed to even look at YouTube, for example, how are you going to FTP files? Well, one way you can actually FTP files, you can FTP at a command prompt, and this is really kind of a strange thing if you haven't been exposed to it. So there I just typed in a simple command line and I can log in and I can look at all my stuff on Kronos, upload files, download files, as long as I know the commands to type. All right, that's how I learned FTP. You guys are lucky. But in a pinch, this approach works too, so you can always look up the commands online. So my focus here isn't to teach you that, but you should be aware of it. Now, in a Windows environment, you can use these instructions. Now I do want to make note here that the instructions were probably written, and I'm just checking to see if it indicates. All right, so somebody anonymized the file, which is a good thing. All right, I'm going to pause the video just for a second here. Okay, got interrupted there for just a moment, but the point was here, I was looking to see if this file, and it sure does, still has our old server name on there, which I'm now changing, and you can see that it'll save on the document immediately. So if you were following these instructions, perchance you had the wrong server name. But notice the address for Kronos in this document. It is not HTTP. It is FTP. Now, that's the method that you can use even within your browser. So for example, if I were to take this and just paste it into my URL here and hit enter, watch what happens if it works correctly. It prompts me for my username and password. And if I put them in, it's not going to show me my web pages. It's going to show me my folder structure, because FTP doesn't transfer web pages for viewing, it transfers web pages for moving from a server to a client, from one machine to another. That's what FTP does. So if you follow these instructions, in essence what they do is what I'm about to show you. You just bring up a regular file folder inside of Windows, and this works with any version of Windows, gosh, going all the way back to Windows 98, believe it or not. If you bring in a window like this, you always have an address bar here. If I type in an FTP address here, it'll do the same thing my browser just did. In fact, let's try it. All right, see I'm being prompted. I'm going to type in my fancy username here. All right, now you can see how it opened up a second window right away. So this is the one that initiated the connection, and this is the one that actually opened. Notice all the files that are here. Maybe it's a little bit better to switch view mode to detail, and then it starts to look very suspiciously like the same thing you see in FileZilla for your remote files. Now I can go into my public folder. I can see all the stuff I've got in here, just like you would in FileZilla. The other thing that I can do is if I have any sort of a file or a folder, that's web programming 2, not 1. So I'm just kind of randomly grabbing a file. I'm going to pull it over and drop it, except I realize I already have an index.html. Yeah, let's just throw it right here for right now. So you can see, just like I would in Windows, I can drag a file in, and it's essentially copied up to the server. It's pretty cool, actually. It works pretty smooth. And then if I want, I could grab a folder and bring it back, and it copies back over. But watch what happens when I open this, because your inclination would be, okay, I'll double click it, and what it's doing when I do that is it's actually going to download the file from the server, then bring it to the browser and open it, like this. However, take a really careful look at the URL. FTP, it's not a web page. Once again, it's trying to prompt me to get into my file structure. You know what, I'm going to go ahead and type it in this time. Ironic, right? Because the page did load. Now the behavior of an FTP file inside of a browser will vary from browser to browser, but this is what Chrome does. So somebody that's moved their files around this way is like, great, my page works. They'll come up here, click, Control C, right, to copy, and then they'll submit that link to me. But that's not access to the web page, because if I don't know your login, and I don't remember your logins. I mean, I can find them if I remember where I put them. But it becomes encrypted once it's on the server, so I don't know your password and I can't get into your stuff. So this is not correct. And in addition, if you're like, oh yeah, well I see why it's not correct, I'll just change this to HTTP, right? Watch what happens now. And the reason for that is when we're doing FTP, you see the whole folder structure, including the public HTML folder. On a server like Kronos where you have like a user account, for HTTP that has to be replaced with this. You know, in my case it would be my username, and now it will work. So my advice is very strongly to avoid doing FTP like this. And then when you provide a link, go to your browser and type it in. And then if you're not sure that it works, go to a different browser. And this is like the fail-safe, right? Bring up a different browser, paste in the address, and make sure it works. It's really just that simple. If you really want to be double extra sure, try it on your phone, or your tablet, or have your friend do it. Email it to yourself and click on the link, something. Because if it doesn't come in right, and some of you will have experienced this with the simple FTP assignment already, I will kick it back with a 0. No matter how beautiful your page is. So, but it's not a reason for panic. So don't get into that mode where you think, oh no, my life is over, I'm going to give up my web career. You know, don't get into that mindset. The point here is to teach you how to do it, and the 0 gets your attention pretty quick, I think, right? But if you get it right, I'll give you all your points, so it's not really an issue. And I know that you guys probably know that I know how to figure it out and get to the file and see it anyhow, but that's not the point of the assignment. The assignment is to make sure that you know how to give me a link that works. Just as simple as that. So avoid that FTP approach. Don't FTP through Windows, FTP through a client. And then when you're testing your page, make sure there's an HTTP in front of it. Now here's the problem, right? All our modern browsers obscure the address, right? So what you can do if you want is highlight it, just click up there, copy it, open a new tab, paste it in, and now you can see the HTTP. See that? So it's kind of cool that they hide it in a way, but not cool from like our standpoint where we need to know every detail. And as developers, we need to know the details. They're very, very important. All right, I think that kind of sums it up in a nutshell in terms of how to grab an address and share it with me. The other thing I want to point out to you is how to actually submit the work so that it comes through in the grade book as efficiently as possible. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go over to Unit 3 really quick, and I'm just going to grab one of the assignments here. All of them require that you upload a link. So I'm just going to click on the first one here. So when you go to submit your assignment, you'll get a page like this. Always, always, always read the instructions. If I say give me a screenshot and insert it into a Word document, I don't want you uploading JPEGs or PNGs or screen captures or any of that. I don't want an image file to be uploaded. I want a Word document that has the images put within it. And there's a reason for it, because when I go to grade, it just pops up in the window and I can grade it real easily. Otherwise, I'm stuck downloading each image and looking at it and opening it, and it really significantly slows grading. So, I mean, you'll say, oh, that's your problem, not mine. But my instructions are, make sure you put them in a Word document. All right. Now, notice that you're going to start seeing this probably with every assignment. The link must work to earn your points. Right? If you're a professional, you're making a website, if I can't bring the website up in my browser, you're not going to get paid. Right? So that's a pretty essential skill. All right, so here is an approach that you can use to submit the work. Here, you probably would add comments like, this was a great assignment, or something like that, or I really had a problem with, or I learned this or that, or if you don't say anything, that's fine too. Some of you are submitting your links here. That's not really preferred. It's okay if you do, and I'll, like probably 90% of you did. Let me show you a better way. If you come up here to the right submission area, you can actually, first of all, you get rich text to edit with, so you can write a whole bunch of stuff. You can put your comments here too. But if you provide a link, and then you highlight that link, then see this little chain button, and if you hover over it, it says Insert Edit Link. So you see that? And then what you do is you paste that link in right in that first box, and my suggestion from there is click on this and say New Window. You don't have to do that, but I recommend it. Then you say Insert. Notice it turns into a link. Then when I receive it, pops up in the window, I can click it and I go right there. Otherwise, what happens if I put it down here, I have to highlight it like this, right click, and see it doesn't even work in that window. But inside Blackboard, I right click, go to that website, and it'll take you there. So really the preferred way to submit a link is to do this, paste in the text, highlight it, click the link button, drop in your link, switch it to New Window, hit Update, and then it'll pop up in that window just like this. That's the recommended approach. That's the best approach. Any questions on that? All right, if there's no questions, we'll wrap this video and we'll move on to our next topic.